But apparently it's snowing in snowing in North Georgia, but it hasn't gotten down here. So we will we'll have you out of here in time. It shouldn't be a problem. Well, in my memories, when I went back online, in my memories, a year ago today, it was snowing. Oh, really? Yeah. So, yeah, because we went to the, hey guys, Atlanta Gay Men's Chorus thing, and it was a year ago. We were there, and it was snowing. They just had, hey, are you Nakia? No. And that's her birthday. But it's not your birthday today. My bad. What, Jackie? Oh. Oh, yeah. It's cool. April what? He's the 19th. His is going to be on Good Friday next year. All right. We should get started. So we're in agreement. Please remain standing. We'll get officially started, and then Corey will come share with us.
And welcome to Metron. Metron is measure or sphere of influence, and we want to help you find your Metron through motivation, enlightenment, transcendence, renewal, outreach, and networking. Today is your day to find your Metron, and we hope you enjoy the service.
Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to Metron. Give yourselves a big hand for braving through 5 feet of snow to get here this morning. You know what? This is what I don't want to put a mojo on the weathermen, but I nearly expect the opposite to happen of what they say, because of the ones when they say it's going to shut everything down tomorrow and nothing happens, and then the ones they give you no warning for is like the avalanche of anyway. But I know they're doing the best they can, so God bless them, and we're all good, and we're here, and it's at least you don't have to worry about the air conditioning being on in here today. So there's that. So there's that. It's a great blessing to be able to have Corey, his stage name Choreology, with us this month, and I've been a fan of his, and from the first time we ever met, and even after he went to another church, we maintained a relationship and a friendship, and I have a great regard and respect for his talent. He's really he's a real Renaissance man. He's talented in a lot of areas, and I really appreciate that. And again, kudos to Ebenezer Baptist for sharing him with us this month. So I want to give him plenty of time today. Without any further ado, would you please welcome the one, the only Choreology?
Let's see. So I'm going to do some songs. I'm going to do one from my first album. It's called Hooray. And it's just hooray for making it and surviving, because we've all had life and struggles, and we made it, right? Absolutely. I don't know about you. I'm glad that I'm able to pay the bills by the due date. Yeah. Just clap your hands if you're happy and you know that God is good. Do a dance, left foot in, left foot out, shake it all about. That's my right foot. Because you made it, you survived it, you're alive. You hip hooray, cue applause for the God who saved us all. Clap, clap your hands if you're happy and you know that God is good. Do a dance, you can stand if you want. Everybody clap your hands because you made it, you survived it, you're alive. Hip hooray, cue applause for the God Yeah. Clap, clap your hands for the ups and the downs, for the smiles and the frown, for the sun and the rain. It all works together to ease our pain, for the new and the old, when it's hot and when it's cold, for the spring and the fall. We grow stronger from it all, so clap your hands if you're happy and you know that God is good. Do a dance, left foot in, left foot out, or just clap your hands. You made it, you survived. Hip, hip, hooray, cue applause for the God. Hey. Clap, clap your hands in the good and in the bad, in the happy and in the sad. Just clapping. Clap, clap your praise to the man above, for every breath that we breathe, a beating heart and sight to see. If you recognize, you realize, without his love none of this would ever be. Woo-doo-doo-doo. Happy and you know that God is good. Do a dance. Yeah. Oh, just clap your hands. Yeah. Oh, hip hooray, cue applause for the God. One more time, just clap your hands if you're happy and you know that God is good. Do a dance, left foot in. Hey, everybody clap your hands. Oh, bye. Hip hooray. Have you ever heard of soul clapping? We're going to try soul clapping right here. It's where you clap real fast. So everybody just clap it up. Oh, just clap it up. Oh, yeah. Just clap it up. Ooh, up and up. Can you help me sing it? I say clap it up. Oh, oh, oh. Clap it up. Oh, clap it up. Just clap it and clap it. Oh, clap it up, yeah. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it there, just clap it and clap it up. Oh, clap it up, yeah, yeah. You woke up alive, yeah. Yes, you survived, yeah. Just clap it up and turn it up. Oh, clap. Yes, God is good. Oh, yes, he's good all the time. Just clap it up. Clap it up, oh, say clap, 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 oh, clap it up, yeah, oh, yeah, lift it up, oh, do, oh, just clap, 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 beat up, yeah. Y'all might know this song. It used to come on the radio when I was a kid. It says, happy feelings in the air. Come on, sing it with me. I see you touching people everywhere. Touching people everywhere. Plenty love and everything. Plenty love and everything. Listen to the people sing. Listen to the people sing. You might know this one too. Because I'm happy, 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 yeah. I sing because I'm happy, 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 happy. I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, 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 happy. Oh, thank you. All right. Y'all feeling all right? All right, so we're going to take it to the Christmas album. Let's do favorite things. This is a fan of favorite things. So I put my little spin on it from the Sound of Music. So. Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens. Bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens. Brown paper packages tied up with strings. Yes, these are a few of my favorite things. Yeah. Cream-colored ponies and crisp apple strudels. Hey. Doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzel and noodle. Wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings. Yeah. Yes, these are a few of my favorite things. Yeah. My favorite things. Oh, yes, they are. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, no. My favorite things. Yeah. Oh, yeah. My favorite thing. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose, eyelashes, silver white winters that melt into spring. These are a few of my favorite things. When Snoop Dogg bites and Queen Bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. I don't feel so bad. Ooh, fly with the wings on my wings, moon on the wings. Yes, they are. These are a few of my favorite things. Yeah. My, oh yes, they are my favorite thing, yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's some other Christmas. Cool. So I released that album in, 2014. I'm a big fan of Christmas music, and I just started recording myself singing, I think in 2013, of just singing Christmas songs and posting them online, and the feedback was just like, oh, can we get an album? Can we get an album? I was like, okay, sure. To give the people what they want. So that happened, and so it's available. If you want to stream it, it's everywhere digital music is, and yeah. Oh, thank you. so thank you so much. I appreciate it for those that have heard it. Oh yeah, let's go and do it. Yeah, keep me on time. Cause what time is it? 11:17. Yeah, it is. This is Drummer Boy from the Holiday album. Bum 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 bum. Oh. Ooh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Come, they told me, pa-da-rum-pa-pum-pum. Oh, a newborn king to see, pa-da-rum-pa-pum-pum. Yeah. Our finest gifts we bring, pa-da-rum-pa-pum-pum. Yeah. To lay before the king, pa-da-rum-pa-pum-pum, pa-da-rum-pa-pum-pum, pa-da-rum-pa-pum-pum. Yeah. So to honor him, when we come, oh, hey, little baby, yeah. See, I am a poor boy too, See, I have no gifts to bring, yeah. That's fit to give a king. Ooh, but shall I play for you? On my drum. Hey. Then Mary nodded. The ox and lamb kept time, yeah, daughter. Yes, I play my drum for him, yeah. Oh, and I play my best for him. Pra-bum-bum-bum, pra-bum-bum-bum. And then he smiled at me. Oh, me and my drum, bum 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 bum, bum 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 bum. Me and my drum, me and my drum, bum 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 bum. I need you to do me a favor, all the fellas. Can y'all sing this with me? Pum 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 pum. Try it. Pum 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 pum. One more time. Pum 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 pum. Pum 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 pum. And the ladies, I want you to say this. Pum 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 pum. Pum 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 pum. Pum 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 pum. Let me hear you say it. Say pum 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 pum. Pum 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 pum. Pum pum pum. One more time together, everybody sing way over it. You sound real good. Keep going. One more time, say bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Hard. Sing this. The hair. I'm trying to. What song am I supposed to sing? I forgot what I was going to sing. Okay, that didn't work out like I thought it was going. What song was I? I can't even think of what it was. I rehearsed it in the car. I promise I did. Okay. Anyway, I think that's all the tracks I sent, right? It is. Okay. So next week I'll be back, and I think there's a keyboard here, and I'm gonna play, and so there won't be any tracks, and we're gonna sing along. So warm your voices up next week, because you're gonna sing with me, right? All right, we're gonna have a good old country sing along. Yeah. So you enjoy your Sunday. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Choreology. Beautiful. Thank you, Miss. Love you. Excellent. I love it. I love it. Let's. That's great. He's going to do the keyboard. Let's make sure we've got a sustain pedal, because I think that was an issue when Jude was here before. So remind me of that this week. Good stuff. You may be seated. That was good. Good. I love the little drummer boy. Anyway, that's a great arrangement of it. I'd planned this month to do. My series was gonna be 100 Christmas characters. I was gonna go through each of them, but it was a bit off more than I could chew. But because I was reading about King Wenceslas and a lot of these people that you hear mentioned that you're not really sure who is that and where do they fit into the story. But one of the main ones is the little drummer boy. The concept of that song is so amazing that he uses the talent that he has. You know, the three wise men are coming with their gold, frankincense, and myrrh, but he says, I don't really have anything to offer. Shall I play for you? Which is it's the ultimate statement of vulnerability. It's like saying, this is all I got. Is it good enough? And because all I can do is play you this solo on this little drum. And you know, the line where it says, then he smiled at me. And I played my drum for him. I can say this now. There was a time I'd preach this and I'd be sobbing when I would say it, because, you know, you go through different times in your life where you think, well, I'm doing my best. That's all I got. That's all I can do. But that your best is actually good enough. It's just a great concept. So anyway, I was glad he did that, and we'll have excellent time next week. Again, thank you for being here. Those of you that are just tuning in, we were threatened with snowstorm 2018, but as of yet, it hasn't manifested. Some nervous Nellies must be locked up in their homes, afraid to venture out. But those of you who braved the rain, thank you for being here. And in fairness, I know different people live in different areas where sometimes your driveways freeze and that sort of thing. So I always want you to err on the side of caution. But I felt like today would be okay. So, and we are, and we're here. Our challenge last week for Year of Living Your Best Life 18 was about hydration, particularly winter hydration, because typically in cold weather, people have a tendency to hydrate less, and that it's actually dangerous to do that. So that's some of our water. That was Chandra's water in her workout. That's some of my alkaline water. That's Avery's water. So thank you for those of you who observed that. And the challenge this week is another health challenge. It's about fiber. I want you to pay attention to the fiber that you eat. Fiber is very, very important for a lot of things, not just for the obvious, but it's actually deterrent to cancer, and so high fiber diet's super, super important. So that's your challenge for this week. Let me go ahead and make our announcements. Looks like we've got a good group signed up already for the Christmas event. It's going to be on Tuesday, the 18th, at the Rhodes Hall, the Castle in Peachtree. And what's cool about the way this worked out, this is actually a big place where they do Santa Claus. It's kind of a prestige thing where people come and so when they say, should we take our Christmas decorations down for your event? We're like, no, that's good. Please leave. But it's just very fortuitous the way the whole thing worked out. And because of a gift from Ray and Joanne and from Ken, we're able to offset your ticket prices. So thank you for those of you that have already paid for that. I think you have till the 13th. And a lot of people wait. There's several people who have texted me this week who've said, we're coming to the Christmas event, and I want to say, okay, but we've got a cutoff. Please don't show up on the 18th. But I'm just like, I'm assuming they know that. Because this year we're doing it different. I'm actually let some people enjoy the party this time and not be selling tickets. We're not even going to do tickets for wine or anything. We're going to do it like we did at my birthday party because it just works out fine like that. And if we think you're drinking too much, we'll cut you off. And you know who you are. So that's good. And then 2 weeks from today, what's that? I didn't know until yesterday. We didn't drink this, but we did. We ventured out of the house yesterday and got some food up here. And the bartender they were putting champagne and cranberry juice together. And so I said, was there a name for that? He didn't even know. So we both looked it up. It's a poinsettia is what it is. Now you know. With orange juice and vodka, it's this is what I'm teaching today. What was your title? Names of drinks, names of vodka drinks. It's a screwdriver. Well, yeah, mimosa with champagne, and then champagne with peach is a Bellini. All right, enough of that. Y'all better get your mind on Jesus. I'm glad y'all are back. Any changes? Everything's about the same like it was? I haven't said much about this, but Fro's brother, and some of you that might know his story, he's especially close to his brother. His brother is in hospice, and they're kind of just expecting any minute for him to transition. So he was able to go this week and spend some time with him. And he hasn't asked me to say anything about it. He hasn't told me not to, but I did want you to know that's kind of where they're at on it, and his brother's at peace, and they've talked about it, and he's, at least the last I talked to you, he was still lucid and knew who you were and that sort of thing. So many of you have been through that. I know Karen went through that with her sister, and it's a Gethsemane. There's nothing anybody can do but sit outside the gate and wait with you, because there's not a thing you can say. We just have to say, we love you, and you're in our thoughts and prayers, and you will get through this. But I appreciate you guys being back today. I wouldn't even expect to see you, but I believe today will be a refreshing and a strengthening for you. 2 weeks from today, we will not be here in the theater. We will be at Spirit and Truth. I'm actually singing that day, so I'm singing with their orchestra and my Aunt Clarice, and so that's going to be good. Their service starts and I'll be doing a team teaching with Pastor D.E. Their service begins at 10 a.m., so don't forget that. It's an hour earlier than us, but it's very easy to find, and they've got plenty of parking. There's parking attendants, so we will have a very successful day. We're after the Christmas event, we're going to head up to New York for a couple of days, and then we'll be back. We'll be back that Saturday night. We'll see you Sunday morning. Which leads me to our outreach this month, of course, is to Spirit and Truth. When we go there, we'll take an offering with us. Okay? Going ahead and projecting into the new year. But the theater asked if we were going to be here on the last Sunday of the month. Is that New Year's Day? New Year's Eve day? Oh, okay. Well, then I don't know why they asked, because it's not on New Year's. Anyway, we will be here. So, and then in January, I told you Chelsea Shag will be back with us, and we've gone ahead and locked in the meditation weekend for the 19th and 20th at Unicoi. We are reserving a meeting room. It's got a fireplace because it may, especially in the morning, it's probably going to be too cold to be outside for but if it turns out super beautiful, we'll go outside, but we'll have that to fall back on. Unicoi's right outside of Helen. So I know they were out of rooms at the lodge. I've already reserved room for us there, but then they've opened up some again. The lodge is really big, but if you can't find a place there, go on booking.com or one of those places. There's plenty of places in Helen and all around there. There shouldn't be a shortage of rooms, and I think many of you already have them. Happy birthday, Yashika. I think today is your birthday. I didn't write anything to you because I'm technically off social media. I came out of hiding last night. But nothing's wrong. I just needed to focus on some other things for a minute. But it's all good. And Rhonda, who was it? Your uncle that passed this week? Was it your? It was whose? Oh, okay. So your paternal uncle. Thanks for reminding me of that. Peace to your family. And I know a lot of you've got a lot going on, so please be there for each other. Okay. Anybody else have a birthday today? Or yours is yours is the 13th. I know when yours is. You have birthdays. Remember when birthdays used to take forever to get here? Remember when somebody asked you, how old are you? You had spoken fractions. I'm 7 3/4. Or I'll be 8 in, like you were rushing it. Now it's like, crap, is it again? Didn't we just do this? Every time you go around that sign, that loop gets faster and faster. You better carpe the heck out of that diem. Because it's just zooming by. I finally had to shut up about Christmas. I thought I'm going to miss Christmas by spending my whole time talking about how I can't believe it's Christmas again. So I've just finally said, all right, shut up. It's Christmas. Get into it. I believe that is everything we need to talk about. Y'all ready for the word? Good. Again, thank you for, look, I never take it for granted, but especially today, you could have made an excuse not to be here, and thank you for being here. I can't do this without you, and I don't want to. People have suggested, why don't you just go online and speak into a microphone, or whatever. I don't want to do that. I need warm bodies and seats, and I need to connect with you. So thank you for. See, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Pastor Danny. I don't go in a lot of detail about that, but just keep Tondi in your prayers as well. Tondi's kind of been through a journey, and she's in a different phase of it right now. She's here every week, and she's a trooper, but just be aware of that as well. They can tell you as little or as much as it's your business to know, but I just appreciate their strength and their faith, just hanging in there and believing for the best and getting through it. And that's one reason. That's something you can't get online. You know what I mean? As much as you communicate, there's nothing's ever going to replace actually seeing somebody, hugging somebody, looking them in the eyes, whatever. Nothing. As much as I am involved in social media, there's nothing will ever replace actually being in a geographical location together. So thank you again. I know it's a long drive for most of you, so thank you for doing it. I never take it for granted. Are we ready for the podcast, people? Welcome to the Metron Live podcast, coming to you live from historic Midtown Atlanta. Metron people, give the podcast people a big hand. We welcome you. Our series title this month is Joy to Your World, Unleashing the Power of the Word Made Flesh. And of course, the concept of the Word Made Flesh comes from John chapter 1, verse 1. Most of us grew up with the King James Version that says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by Him, and without Him was not anything made that was made. In Him was life, and the life was the light of men, and the light shined in darkness. The darkness comprehendeth it not." And it talks about how, down in verse 14, eventually the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. When we look into the Greek, it says, "In the beginning was the Logos," Logos. There are two different words that got translated word. One of them is Rhema, R-H-E-M-A. One of them is Logos. Rhema is the word that is to everybody. Logos is the word that is to everybody. Rhema is the word that is to the individual. It's where we get the word theology from. The theo is God. Theo logos is the logic of God or the word of God. Then when we discovered the Aramaic, which is actually the language that Jesus spoke, it's "in the beginning was willed action." What's that got to do with joy to my world? Well, let me explain this, and I'm going to show you some things that I think are very important to what we're talking about. A lot of revelation has taken place here, especially the last couple of weeks. I don't feel like I'm convincing you of anything. I feel like we're involved in the dance. Do you know what I mean? Because we have re-examined, well, who was Jesus and who is Jesus to us now? Is He still even Jesus? I mean, is there an entity that we still call that? You know, was Jesus that individual that manifested on the earth for 33 years ago, 2,000 years ago? We're re-examining that, which ultimately causes us to re-examine, well, what is Christmas about anyway then? What was the purpose of Jesus coming? Because if we're unapologetically and fearlessly rethinking Jesus, then we have to rethink what is the whole Christmas thing about. Let me show you. This is John chapter 1, verse 14. This is from John in the Now. This is hashtag Jim Swilley Books. I don't know how many years ago did I come out with this. It's been a while. Let's just say we still have plenty of them. If you'd like to work on your Christmas shopping, we'll work you out a deal with A Year in the Now and Gospels in the Now. It's a great stocking stuffer. Anyway, this is in JIT in verse 14. "And the eternal Word morphed into flesh, into a manifested incarnation with human attributes and authority in the natural world, so that He could live with and among us human beings. And He did live with us here in our world, limiting Himself to the constraints of the human condition without reservation, but we could still plainly see His eternal divine glory. It was obvious that He shined," and believe me, we fought over that word shined. We couldn't decide if it was shined or shone. We ended up with the consensus was shined. With the glorious light of a unique firstborn Son who was miraculously like His Father who had sent Him. The illumination from that glory revealed that He was literally filled with grace and that He overflowed with absolute truth. When we talk about the word incarnation, C-A-R-N, it's where we get the word carnivore from. It's flesh. If you are carnivorous, you are a flesh eater. So we talk about the incarnation. It means that Spirit became flesh. And the original language doesn't say He was just housed in flesh. It actually says He became flesh, which is a little bit different shade of meaning. He wasn't just inhabiting a human body. He actually became human. And that's what makes the mystery of Christology, even now, even with the help of the Holy Spirit, even with all of our study, there's still just a part of it that's beyond our ability to understand. How He's not 50% God, 50% man. He's 100% God and 100% man. How do you explain that? Well, it's illogical. The incarnation defies intellect. But we believe it, and even even with our progression in theology, we still believe it. I mean, I was watching President H.W. Bush's funeral this week, and I know there was a lot of stuff online about who said the Apostles' Creed and who didn't, but the point is, when you say the Apostles' Creed, it's like, I believe all of that. You know, like, it's interesting, even the modern version doesn't say he went into hell. It says he ascended to the dead, which is actually closer to what the original language says. But, which, by the way, that was a very moving funeral, and I don't know if ministered is the word, but it was good. It helped me on several levels to see several things that happened during that. Even with, for those of us who are married to the same sex, we went through an issue with George W. Bush because, his second term was really very much based on trying to make an addition to the Constitution that marriage should be between a man and a woman. And yet, you give him the benefit of the doubt that, well, he's evolved. I mean, I like President Obama, but he took his own sweet time acknowledging gay marriage. When he finally did, I was like, okay, it took you a minute. And once he said it, then it became within the realm of possibility. But that at the end of it, when W said he kind of broke down, that's the great equalizer. Because suddenly you're beyond your politics and you think, wow, that was not a perfect man, but that man who passed was a good man and apparently a good father. And that's the part of America that I want to believe. I want to believe in that mythology. Like, yeah, there are in times like that we step out of our differences and give people the benefit of the doubt that they've evolved. I was actually supposed to have seen President Carter this past Wednesday because I bought a book. He's done a book of paintings. And I was supposed to go to the signing for that, and obviously he was at the. Are you going to it? Did you buy one? What's that? Jimmy Carter's. His grandson, who ran for governor before his kids are in my granddaughter's class at Mary Lynn, so I see him frequently. And one day, right after Carter had been given a clean bill of health from brain cancer, which is what Fro's brother has, at 95, he shakes it off. I asked his grandson, I said, is he even human? I mean, like, good Lord. He said, we don't know. He said, we just don't know if he's ever going to go. But anyway, I was very touched by the funeral and the better angels of America. We'll leave it at that. But my point in saying all that, the reason I incorporated that in my teaching is I meant to say something about it earlier. There is something very powerful when you see an audience say that Apostles' Creed. Now, if you didn't come from a liturgical church, you probably are not familiar with that at all. I'm sure as Roman Catholics, you probably said it every Mass. And the Protestant version's a little bit different. It does use the word Catholic, but it's little c Catholic. It means the word Catholic actually just means universal. Roman Catholic with a capital R and capital C is the church that's based out of Rome, Italy. But we went through a phase at Church of the Now where we said it some, and I thought it was good to let people know what that was. But the whole thing is about, I believe in a virgin birth. And even last week, I think we got some new revelation about that even, because in Genesis 3, it talks about the seed of the woman. And typically in the scriptures, it's the man who has the seed. But in the Genesis account, which I love me some Genesis 1, 2, and 3, that's the writer there has this insight that says, there will be enmity between the seed of the serpent and the seed of the woman. So, if we're to take that literally, that makes the whole concept of virgin birth even that much more compelling. I know a lot of my contemporaries that are sort of where I'm at theologically. They don't necessarily embrace the literalness of a virgin birth because the word virgin in ancient texts really just meant young girl. For me, I can hear the Apostles' Creed, and I'm like, no, I'm good with all of that. All of that. That's a part of Christianity I will never dismiss myself from. To me, it's like that's if you don't have that part of the mystery, then there's really nothing else to talk about. So it was good to hear. If you've never been to Washington, the National Cathedral it's an incredible place to go. If you get a chance to go there where the funeral was, it's just something very powerful about seeing people standing and saying that and embracing the incarnation. To get to what I want to talk about today, though, let me show you this quote, Catherine Hurst, and this is not coming from a Christian paradigm. This woman is more of a, you would definitely call her New Age or holistic, but I thought this was an interesting quote. She quotes John 1:14 or 1:1. It says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." We can all learn something from this well-known Bible verse. Looking beyond the religious overtones, there is a message to be found in this for everyone. Everything begins with a word. Now, that's something we all agree with. Words consist of vibration and sound. It is these vibrations that create the very reality that surrounds us. Words are the creator of our universe, our lives, our reality. Without words, a thought can never become a reality. This is something that we have been taught throughout history as far back as the Bible, which writes of God, whatever that word may mean to you, saying, "Let there be light," and as a result, creating light. So what can we learn from this? If our words and thoughts are the very tools with which we create our reality, then surely they are our most powerful tool yet. Surely we should only pick the very best words in order to create our very best reality. I started preaching coming up in my 47th year, but really didn't start doing couples counseling until I was a little bit older. So I've probably easily done 35 years of pretty regular counseling. And you can nearly always trace a make or break in a relationship to a word. Not to an action. It's to a word. I can't tell you how many times I've sat with somebody and said, everything was fine until he said this or until she said this. And it's like we never could get that genie back in the bottle once a thing was said. That's why I tell people, like, if you're married, don't throw around the D word. Because once you ever say it, even if you're the maddest, I'm not saying you're going to get divorced if you say it, but once you do say it, it's within the realm of possibility. It's like it's been put on the table. And I can nearly always trace it back to, when we had that conversation. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to make anybody think, oh crap, we've ruined it. No, I'm saying you have to be aware of it. And there's a scripture when David actually prayed to put a watch over his mouth, meaning, sometimes people get in a big way and they say, I just shot off at the mouth and said all kind of stuff. Well, there are things that you can say that might not mean that much to you, but they've made a huge impact on another person. You don't even remember it. I remember probably the deepest conversation I ever had with my dad was over something that was said in my childhood that he has no recollection of. And so we're coming from two different paradigms because it was a touchstone for me. Everything was different after those words were spoken. And I finally got to a place where I said, I'm going to need you to just act like you remember saying that, because so many decisions I made in my life were based on that word. And I'm not throwing him under the bus. I'm saying there are things that we say. I can't tell you how many people have left church over the years over things that they got upset over something I said. And I thought, wow, I'm thinking you really overreacted to that. That's like, that wasn't worth us severing our relationship over. But I also don't know all that they've been through, so that word that phrase might have meant something to them that it doesn't mean to me. I'm like, wow, why did you? Like, sometimes when people would, back in the day, would leave the church over something I said, I would be like, that's what you left over? After all the controversial things I've said, the things I've beaten myself up for saying, I can't believe I said that, and that's the one that you That's what you left over? So sometimes you have to find out, well, when you said that, what did you mean by that? I'm not saying words do irreparable damage. I'm saying you can't ignore them. Because just because somebody has stopped talking about it doesn't mean it hasn't gone subterranean and they're thinking about it and they're responding to you on everything you do and say because of that word. And you might have, or that when I say word, you know what I mean, that phrase, that conversation, that thing. By the same token, I can't tell how many times I've had somebody say, well, how did you know you were in love with her or with him? Well, it's when he said so-and-so. He said this, and I was like, oh, that just flipped the switch on. So you're constantly creating and destroying things with your words just all the time. That's why, and I've posted about this before, that's why I tell people, be careful what you even post on social media, because virtual reality has a tendency to become reality. And you can say certain things just because you're venting about something but then you get other people agreeing with you. Several times lately, I've started to post something about my dad's condition, and I don't, because I've noticed when I did before, people pile on with horror stories of Alzheimer's, and it takes it in a different, like I posted a thing last year when Ken's dad passed. I meant it as it was a beautiful moment because I wasn't sure Dad was aware of what had happened. Mom had told me, I've told him all week about Ken's dad, and he doesn't grasp it. And yet, when we drove up in the driveway, he was standing out there, and it was like a very sweet moment. He embraced Ken, and I think he gave you some money to help with funeral expenses, and it was very meaningful to me because we had this lucid moment that we don't always have. Now, you've seen people who've gone into dementia. They have these moments where you think, oh, they're fine, everything's fine. And it was like that. Well, when I posted it, I couldn't believe how negative so many people are, because they automatically went, oh, you think it's bad now? It's going to get so horrible. I'm like, oh, my God, that's what you got out of that? What I was saying is, just when you're not expecting it, there's this beautiful moment that happens. That's what I was I was seeing the glass half full. So several times lately I've started to write something about different things. I think, I don't want to go there, because as soon as you do, people, and then you get in this whole other thing that's agreement. And once people start agreeing with you about how bad a situation is, you're like, well, this is taking on a whole different tone from what I meant. I didn't mean that at all. One thing I was really happy about this week, I had my own reasons for saying I'm going to take a little break from social media, and I didn't get one person saying, are you okay? I love that we're at a place now where people are like, enjoy your time off, you deserve it. I'm like, thank you. We're making great progress, because there was a time I would have been flooded with, oh my God, what's wrong now? I'm like, no, nothing's wrong. I need to focus on some other things, because I'm addicted to social media, and sometimes I have to get some perspective from it, actually do things in a day, not just, this would be something cool to post. I mean, after a while, you're like, why am I just doing stuff so I got something to post? This will look good on Instagram. I mean, I used to actually have a life where it wasn't just a photo op. We went to this thing at St. Philip's the other night. I didn't post one thing about it. He did. I was glad he did. But I had one guy take a picture of us, and I thought, why don't people know how to take pictures? It's so easy, just a frame, a picture. And I thought, it's just as well. Why don't I just actually go enjoy it instead of having to make this a thing I got to post about? Which, nothing wrong with that. It's, it's a way you communicate and share your life with people, but you do have to kind of keep it in perspective. Sometimes you can actually eat something delicious without photographing it first. And I'm not against photographing, because I do it a lot, but I mean, after a while, you're like, do I still just eat, or am I just staging? So that's kind of what this is about this week for me. Maybe I'll be back, maybe I won't. Anyway, now here's where I want to bring it up to where we are. I sent the outline yesterday, and Michelle gave me some feedback. She said, this is really in line with what you've been teaching. She says, it's a strong word. I think she called them metronians. Metronians will get this. And I thought, I'm very happy that I have this. And I'm not saying this is your only purpose, because I love you and want to see you, but there's also the role of nearly like a laboratory where he's like, this is what I believe is the truth. Let me put this out with people who I believe are like-minded, that I believe are mature enough that if you just thought I was off the deep end, you would say, I love you so much and thanks for your role in my life, but you're going down a road I can't go. But I don't think that's the case with y'all. I think y'all are like, okay, you've thrown us a couple of things. We're like, okay, I got to have a minute to process that. But once I processed it, I'm like, yeah, all right, that bears witness. And let me tell you this, trust this. Trust this. People say, you better trust your Bible. No, trust this. The Bible should reflect what you feel in here, not the other way around. And the Bible writers would agree with me on that. So this is what I want to show you. I think I want to show you this verse in maybe 3 different translations. Because, and I've kind of been on this trajectory since we started Metron, but even re-examining communion and what is the cross, what did the cross do, did Jesus come to the earth because God had to save us from God? I mean, there's something about that seems, something's not right about that. If God's the loving God who has foreknowledge, what happened in the fall exactly? If it was literal at all. I mean, is it just an allegory that we're supposed to understand the difference between the tree of life paradigm versus the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? And I will tell you this, if you're trying to figure out Jesus through the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you will see someone who divides sheep and goats in 2 different categories and sends goats to hell. And that's not who Jesus was. And it's what I want to show you from this verse of Scripture, because all right, then what did happen on the cross? I mean, I grew up singing, what can wash away my sins? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. I mean, we had a very bloody theology. It was all about, the cross and the blood, and I'm not against that, but I also examine how much of that do I really believe? How much of that was what God needed, or how much of it was what man needed? Especially people who came from a background of blood sacrifice. So this is John 15. Yeah. What? Oh, yeah, thank you. This was the linchpin before that. I knew there was something else. Adolph Adam wrote O Holy Night. And I love O Holy Night. It's my favorite Christmas carol. Most people say it's a toss-up between that or Silent Night. But it says, O holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining till he appeared and people realized how horrible they were and they could only be accepted by God through the blood of Jesus. Now, this is a very progressive hymn because he says, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth. Now, I grew up singing Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. And man, we always put emphasis on that word wretch. When I got older, I realized, the man that wrote this was a slave trader. And when he had an epiphany about the evilness of buying and selling human beings, he said he was wretched. And I'm like, yeah, you were. But then you think about a generation of people who sang that song and took on his mea culpa, saying that they were wretched. He was specifically talking about, I realized slavery was evil. I once was blind, now I see. I showed you a clip of it a couple of years ago. There was a Broadway show called Amazing Grace, and and I think they've made a movie about it as well, that shows how he was born again. He realized, and he spent the latter part of his life fighting slavery. He became an advocate against it. That's a huge paradigm shift. But I don't necessarily want to partake of his wretchedness. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I've never been a slave trader. So I'm like, that's your, smiting the breast, saying I was wretched. I'm like, yeah, you were. And that's very, it's a great thing that you saw that. Because there's some people that didn't progress. I remember I'm sure they've died now, but a few years ago I was seeing this documentary with these SS soldiers from the Third Reich who at the time were like in their 80s. And they didn't speak English, but they were being interviewed. And through the translator, they said, "Do you have any regret at all about all the people you killed?" And this one guy said, "No, they were Jews." And there was something so chilling about seeing an old man say that. You would hope there would have been some evolution over the years. And in the days before his death, he would say, "Yes, we were under the spell of an evil man, and we didn't know better, and we were young, and now, if I had it to do over again." There's something in humanity that wants to hear that. Like, well, maybe you saw the error of your ways. I mean, even here in the South, some of these Dixiecrats, like Lester Maddox, some of these people who were big-time segregationists and racist, they did evolve as they got older. I mean, Lester Maddox in the later part of his life hired African Americans, and so there are people that went through. They still had. I wouldn't say they were poster boys for, good behavior, but you at least want to think, well, maybe somebody learned something over the years. Or did they just die racist? I mean, you want to think somebody evolved somewhere. And when I saw that, it's one of the most chilling things I ever saw, to see this guy who there's been no movement towards humanity at all. He was like, "No, they were Jews, of course." I mean, like, why? Like, he was surprised. Why would you even ask? Of course we killed them. That's why you can't just look at somebody showing a Nazi flag now or a swastika and think it's cute. It's like, no, there's too many people still alive who embrace that ideology. You can't. It's bad. But I love this. It says, I love this concept. He appeared, and it made us feel worthy. It didn't make us feel unworthy. He appeared, and we felt like, oh, well, we were good enough for you to come and embrace us. Not, we're horrible, and the only way God can ever accept us is through your blood. Now, I'm not dismissing the blood of Jesus. It would go against my DNA to do that. But I also, like I told you last week, I think because we were raised with an idea that all you have to do is call his name and the blood will cover you, that we created a whole culture of people that really didn't tell the truth, didn't have good morals, didn't have good ethics, but it was just like, he sees me through the blood. And I think there's a real imbalance to that. Like, I remember back in the day, people would say, why don't we need to start a network of Christian businessmen. You want to do business with Christians? I'm like, no, not necessarily. I know some Christian businessmen that have horrible ethics, and and there was a big move like, I want a Christian mechanic. No, I want a mechanic that knows how to fix my car. I don't want, I want to know that he's going to give me a fair price, not, this idea that, well, we just need Christians. You might not have known as many Christians as I have, but I'm not saying all Christians are immoral. I'm not saying that all Christians are, or that they have good ethics. Well, exactly, and I'm sure Eddie will know this as well as I do, but I can't tell you the times over the years, especially when I used to travel and be the guest in a lot of other pulpits. When you'd see people behind the scenes, you'd be like, holy crap, this is who you are? Like, really? Like, you want to go to the congregation, like, you guys need to run for your lives. And especially back in the day, when I've never preached against sin enough to satisfy fundamentalists. And people used to say, oh, that church now, they don't talk against sin. That's why there's so much sin. I'm like, I don't think you know what's going on in your church, because your pastor preaches against sin in every pulpit, and he's sleeping with 13 women in your church and a couple of the boys. I want to. One thing I will tell you, when I stand, if there is going to be something of some kind of judgment where you stand before a deity, I will never get thrown under the bus for uncovering people, because I've carried secrets for people that I've never even told whoever I was married to at the time. Whoever I was married to. I'm just saying, there's some things I don't tell Ken. I don't, because I'm like, well, this is something I know in confidence, and not that I think he would blab it. It's just, well, no, that I'm supposed to be a safe place where you can tell me something and not assume I'm going to tell it, because that's not the case with other people. I've been with other ministers, like some of my closest friends had a pastor who has gone on now, who uncovered them all the time, and they don't even know it. And he used to tell me stuff about them. I'm like, I don't think they'd want you telling that. I don't think I should know that. Like, they didn't tell me that. And it kind of, note to self, don't ever tell this guy anything, because he's just, my grandmother Addie Mae always said, a dog that'll bring a bone will carry a bone. Listen, I promise you, if somebody's gossiping to you, they will gossip about you. You're crazy if you think that stops with you. So, anyway, this idea that just because you're under the blood, everything's okay, I think it's an imbalanced message. Even if you're going to take it literally, over there in Revelation, where it talks about overcoming the accuser of the brethren, it says they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Meaning, it wasn't just, I'm going to be an absolute reprobate, but I'm just counting on the blood to cover me. No, I want to actually be good for my word and tell the truth about things and be a good... I mean, even this week, in my building, I own my unit years before I actually lived there. We bought it years ago as an investment. So in all those years that I didn't live there, I never went to those condo associations. It's just not on my radar screen. I don't even read the emails that they send every week to find out what's the latest thing going on in the bill. I just don't. And they had their annual meeting this week, and I thought, I should go to that. I'm not being a good neighbor. I'm not being a good resident at this building, because I'm living here like I'm not like the rest of y'all. I don't actually live here. And I went, and I was amazed at how much I learned. Like, oh, we had to replace the roof because of that? Oh, that's why our HOAs are so high? Because it was a $400,000 roof we had to redo on this building? Like, I needed to know that, because every month when I'm sending those HOAs, I'm certainly complaining about it. But complaining about it. And when I heard their board, who's not paid, explain this is where the money goes, everything, I thought, wow, this is really good. I already feel better about living here, because these people are actually good stewards, and they're doing all this work that I certainly haven't been burdened with it. And when I brought up a couple of things about, dogs peeing on carpet and that kind of stuff, they are working on it. I didn't know some of the stuff that they have already done, and I could relate to it, because I've been on the other side of that. When people say, where's all the money going here? I'm like, baby, if you only knew. The fact that we keep these doors open is like walking on water. Of course, it was always the people that never gave a penny that always wanted to know, I want to know where all the money. The people who actually give are like, we don't care. Look, I used to love to say, well, I don't know why you care, because it's clearly not affecting you one way or the other. Most of the people that have complained about me closing Church of the Now never went regularly. I'm like, well, why do you? I don't even remember you being there that much. I know, but I just need to know you were there. Really? Because I went for years and didn't even see you. I had no idea it meant that much to you. Oh, we just haven't been able to move on. Really? I kind of think you moved on when I was out there, but okay. Whatever. Anyway, now having said that, let me show you John 15. This is verses 1 through 3, and this is the New King James Version. He says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away, and every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Now, I was always taught this meant he's cutting off the bad branches and throwing them in the fire, in the same way that he separates the sheep and the goats and throws the goats in the fire. If you see Jesus through the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that's how you will be predisposed to interpret some of his words. But look what he goes on to say. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Not you're reprobates now, but in a year or so I'm going to die on the cross, and once I shed blood for you, then you'll be worthy. Now, clearly, the cross was not plan A. Look, haven't there been things that you have learned through trial and error in your life that you could have just learned from the Holy Spirit if you had just listened? And you still learn the lesson, but after a while you learn, I'm going to start listening to the Spirit because, yeah, I've learned from my mistakes, but my God, they left a mark. You know, they left a scar. Next time, I'm going to listen. You know? I mean, yes, I got forgiveness for it, but shoot, it would have been so much better if I'd never done it. If I knew then what I know now, it wouldn't have been worth it. Thank God for mercy. But if I had it to do all over again, I wouldn't have even gone the mercy route. Then verse 3 in the voice, it says, already you are clean because you have heard my voice. Meaning, I'm removing what needs to be removed from you, not sending you off to a place to be punished. The word for fire in the New Testament is P-U-R. It's where we get the word purified from. The fire is never talked about for punishment. It's always talked about for pruning. And what he's saying here is the word that I've spoken to you has burned out of you what needed to be burned out. Same thing for sheep and goats. Are you a sheep or a goat? Yes. You are both. And you are going through a process where the goat, or we built the church I grew up in, we built a whole fantasy about this idea of we're flying away for 7 years because Jesus said 2 men will be working in the field and one will be taken and one will be left. Well, if you talk about whoever's left behind, if you're going to follow the Noah model, because he says it would be like in the days of Noah, the ones who were left behind were the ones who were saved on the ark. The ones who were taken in the flood taken is not a good thing. But those guys that wrote that Left Behind series made billions, not millions, billions of dollars on that whole fantasy. And what he's saying when he says 2 men will be sleeping in the bed, he's not talking about 2 men literally. He's saying the part of you that needs to be removed will be removed. You are the 2 men. You are the sheep and the goat. Even with indigenous people, Native Americans, they have a whole concept of there's 2 wolves in you, and the one that you feed is the one that lives, the one that you starve is the one that dies. That's where this is coming from. So he's not saying there's coming a great judgment day. Every day is judgment day. And there are things, that's why he says in the day of judgment, by your words you'll be condemned and by your words you'll be justified. He's not talking about some people going to be thrown into hell. He's saying we're constantly in this process of growing and being conformed to the image of God, or letting God being revealed in us. And in that, little by little, parts of our humanity that needs to be removed so that our divinity so that he appears and the soul feels its worth. Jesus should make you feel better about yourself. But he does it everybody. Some people I just think about his blood sacrifice. No, you should think about the way he talked to authority figures, the way he made peace with his history, the way that, all those things. Like I told you last week when he said, you have heard it said, but I say. His whole life was an example to us. If we make it all about the cross, it just seems it seems like everybody gets cheated in that deal, including Jesus. It's like there's nothing memorable about his life. It's just like, let's just get into that cross. And then once we get into that cross, we're just going to obsess over that cross. In the Passion Translation, it says, The words I have spoken over you have already cleansed you. I know what it's like to have somebody say something to me that cleanses me. You know what I mean? Like if you think somebody's that you love has been upset with you, you know they really either aren't or they've forgiven you or whatever, and they say something to you, and you feel, it's like it washes you. It's like, oh, thank you. I feel so much better. Different words. You know, to me it's not compliments as much as it's powerful words. I've mentioned this before, but sometime this has been a good while back. I hadn't seen Eddie, Patrick in a while, and I texted him. I said, "Is everything okay with you? I just haven't seen you in a while." And he came back. He said, "You walk on water to me." Well, I never forgot that. If I go for a couple of weeks and don't see him, I'm like, I walk on water, Daddy. You know what I mean? Like it never occurs to me he's upset with me about something. I just think, because that word washed me. Hasn't there ever been something that somebody has said to you and you're like, this is a turning point in our relationship when you say this? And it's not just compliments. It's a word. Now we are this because I have said this. And sometimes you think, well, oh, they know it already. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So if Jesus cleansed the people listening to him by his words, isn't that what John 20 was all about? Remember when he breathed on him and said, receive the Holy Spirit, whoever sins you forgive or forgiven, whoever sins you remit or remitted? That's not talking about people that are going to be kept out of heaven because because there's some people that are never going to forgive you. You might as well. A brother offended is hard to be won than it is to take a city. But I can tell you this. There are some people that are so damaged because of previous. I mean, I know what it's like to get down on my hands and feet and wash somebody's feet and apologize for something, and them still, with their feet in the water, look at me coldly and go, well, thanks, but it doesn't change the way I feel. And you're like, well, wow. Note to self, don't ever get to that. I would think if somebody did that to me, I'd be like, you know what, I've been really hurt or mad, but I've got to let this go. I can't imagine being that hard or scarred that somebody could sincerely apologize about something and you can't let them back in. You can't let it go. You should be able to let things go. I mean, I'm telling, like, even this, again, watching George W. Bush is, because he wasn't known for his eloquence. That was not his strong suit. And yet that was a very eloquent eulogy that he gave. And in that moment at the end where he kind of broke and bent over and cried, all of a sudden, I wasn't thinking about his politics or whether he was Republican or whether he was anti-gay marriage or whatever. I was just like, that resonated with me. And every time I see the clip of it, it chokes me up. Because I will be there at a close date. And so I relate to that. I can't believe there are people that can't get past superficial things and just can't let it go. But it's true. Don't be naive to think there's some people you can just apologize to and everything's going to be okay, because it's not the case. I mean, you can keep working at it, but I mean, I got news just this week of somebody that was offended with me and left the church many years ago, and he passed away this week. And, you know, his brother messaged me and said, I don't know if you knew he died. I said, yeah, I wrote something on your page. I'm sorry. But I thought, well, for the last 15 years, you know, he hasn't even spoken to me. Like, what am I supposed to do? I mean, I can say I'm so sorry to hear this, but we weren't good, you know? And you can't just assume, well, time heals everything, because no, it doesn't. Relationships have to be worked at. And you think, well, they haven't mentioned it a long time, so they've forgotten about it. Not necessarily. So, having said all that, I say you can make a situation entirely different by how you wash somebody with your word. And many of you have said things like comparable to what Eddie said to me. I'm not fishing for those. Most of you have already said I'm established. I feel like I'm established with all of you in here. I did say to you this week, he said something about, yeah, we're cool. I said, what does that mean, we're cool? And he said, we're cool. I said, well, I didn't know what that means, we're cool. He said, well, I didn't know how to spell it out for you. I'm like, apparently you've never met me. Of course you have to spell it out for me. When I met Aisha, she said, yeah, I said, what'd you think about coming? Because it's, it's different here. And she said, well, he said a lot of good things about it. I said, really? What did he say? Well, I don't remember specifically. Well, y'all think about that and get back to me. I care about all that kind of stuff. And that's not insecurity. That's the power of words. Where you say something to somebody and you're like, okay, we've just shaped our reality now. And you see this all through the scripture. Remember when Jesus says to the woman with the demon-possessed daughter, he says, for this saying, your daughter is made well. And he had just said something really horrible to her. He said, why should we give the bread to the dogs? And she's like, well, even the dogs get the crumbs from the table. And he's like, wow, okay. For this saying, your daughter is made well. And there's theologians have argued forever about why did he say that? What was the meaning of that? But the fact is, so many things, and I'm not just talking about love relationships. I mean business partnerships, certain deals. I can't tell you the people have told me over the years, like, everything was going well until they said that. And that changed the whole thing about the deal's off or whatever. And I know what that's like. I've had people say something to me that I think, I don't feel the same about you after you just said this. And I'm not being hypersensitive. It's just that you just said something that makes me rethink you. And I'm not sure we're going to have doesn't mean you're a bad person. I'm just not sure we're going to have a future together. I've told y'all this before, but before I met Ken, I was just, because I dated a good bit and I was in a relationship before. Some of you remember him. And I wasn't like sleeping around, but I was dating. I mean, no, seriously. I mean, a lot of people think, well, that's all gay people do. No, they don't. They go on dates like straight people do. And sometimes they're awkward and, but, there'd be a couple of guys that, well, this may be going to, this might work, and because I'm a husband. I'm not I'm not just like, I'm looking for a relationship. And everything would be going good. They'd say this one thing, like you'd be with some guy, he'd say some racist thing or something. You're like, oh, crap. And it's not that I'm unforgiving. It's just like, if you don't know better than to say that in front of me, there's no way you're going to fit into my world. There's no way you're going to fit into my world. So let's just save it right now, because I could call you on it and make you apologize, but you just, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. You just said that. Which I also told you this. First week we were together, Chandra was in a Tyler Perry play, and she gave me tickets to it. He'd never even been to the Fox, so we're driving to the Fox, and I'm grilling him. I said, you know who Tyler Perry is, right? And he said, yeah. I said, okay. Are you aware that we're probably going to be the only two white people at the Fox Theater? He said, okay. I said, I just need to make sure, because I think where our tickets are, we're on the front row. Like the whole cast, black. Musicians, the playwright, everybody. Black. Everywhere. Sea of black. Just us. Are you aware of this? And he said, do you think I'm racist or something? I said, I don't know. I don't know you that well yet. You are a white man from a small town in Georgia. It's totally... I'm just saying, it's in the realm of possibility. I'm not stereotyping you. I'm just saying, I'm from the South too. I know. And before this goes any further, I want to go have a good time, and I didn't know him that well. I said, I don't want to walk into Fox Theater. And he was like, I didn't know it's going to be this many black people. You didn't prepare me for thousands. Because that's the world I live in, so I don't think about it, But I've been with white people who visit me in the city. They're like, wow, there's a lot of black people here. I'm like, yeah, the majority of Atlanta population's, it's a chocolate city. You didn't know that? I don't mean that that's what it's called. It's like a lot of chocolate. Got to make sure that's not a problem, because there's a whole lot of chocolate in my world. And then after I met him, and he has interracial relationships in his family, and I saw where he went to school and his friends. I'm like, wow, I needed to see this, because I didn't realize I'm judging you, thinking you're a certain way, and you're not this way at all. And of course now that I know him, of course it's not an issue. But when you first start out, it's like, oh, this is going really good. Please don't say the thing that. There's some things that people say. If you say I don't like sushi, I'm like, we can live with that. If you say I don't like black people, I'm like, oh, we got a problem. And the fact that somebody can say something and not even think that you're going to be surprised by it. You're like, oh, wow, you clearly don't know me. Let's don't even waste each other's time. This isn't going to work. And I'm glad you said it now, for me to know it now before I get any more invested in you, because there's lots of things that we don't have to agree on every point, but there's some things that are going to be deal breakers. And that's the way everything is. You think about every person you meet, and everything that you say is shaping your reality. I even thought about it this week. I didn't see the second day of the funeral, but I was watching a little bit of the news coverage of them taking before the train, but taking his after the train, taking his body to be buried. And I was watching the band play Star Spangled Banner, and the guy that was directing it, I remembered that I had tried out for a drum major when I was in college, because I remember they taught us how to do. And I remember when I tried it out, the thing that I said, that I didn't make it. I didn't get it. And I know it's because of what I said. It was something that I said to the band director that made him think, I don't think you're the guy. And I know it. I was stupid. I said something, I thought, because I could have done that. I think I was better at it than the person they chose. But it was for this saying. I'm enough years away from it, like, no, I know. Not only do I understand why he didn't pick me, I think he did the right thing. Because if I said that, that means I shouldn't have been in that position. There's some things you learn from your own mistakes. And I was looking at that guy, and I thought, yeah, I know why Mr. Mills didn't choose me. I get it. Touché. And there's other things I know have worked out for me because I said the right thing at the right time. Everything, words are creating constantly. So don't give yourself the out to say, well, I just go crazy. I say whatever I feel. Well, you might regret that, because there's some bells that can't be unrung. I'm just telling you. I'll end with this quote. It says, if we understood the power of our thoughts, we would guard them more closely. If we understood the awesome power of our words, we would prefer silence to almost anything negative. In our thoughts and words, we create our own weaknesses and our own strengths. Our limitations and joys begin in our hearts. We can always replace negative with positive. What's that got to do with joy to your world? This whole Christmas thing is based on the idea that a word becomes a reality. The word becomes flesh. As I told you, every word wants to become flesh. Everything that is said wants to manifest as a reality. Even the smallest words, if it's negative, just let it go. I got some good feedback from one of the meditations I wrote a few days ago. It was a blessing I wrote. It says, and that you let every destructive thought die unborn. Because there's a whole concept of, if I put a thought into a word, it's like giving it a body. And if I just don't, even thoughts are things, but if I don't say it, at least the thing will die unborn. Once I say it, there's a theory in physics that every word that's ever spoken is still out there. And they're actually looking into ways to harness, like in theory, you could actually hear William Shakespeare or Aristotle or whatever, because whatever he said is still somewhere. Nothing ever goes away. If there's a way to tap into it that you could pick up. It's just like listening to Christmas carols last night and even this morning on the way over here. I'm listening to people. Like I always loved Andy Williams, and I was listening to It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year. I like the way his voice sounded around 1963 when that album came out. Well, he's been gone for years. And I thought, isn't that interesting that every time we hear this recording, he's alive in our consciousness. I don't think about a dead man in a grave. I think about, this was a young, handsome man with a great voice who had a certain kind of energy that's a part of my childhood memories of Christmas, whatever. And so it's amazing that you can record people's voices. And like this morning I was watching Christmas in Connecticut with Barbara Stanwyck. It was made in 1945. All of those people, I'm sure, are long passed away, and yet it's funny, it's engaging, it's a good script. It's like, to me, they were all alive this morning. It's because your words are recorded, and they're still living. They're still having an effect. I remember before, I don't know what will happen in my future of writing books, but I have written a few of them. And I remember a man saying to me one time, he was a well-known evangelist, he said, have you ever written a book? I said, no, I haven't yet. I think about it a lot, but I can't decide what I want to write on. He said, let me just tell you this. He said, Solomon built the greatest edifice in history, and today there's no record of it. There's a little bit of a wall there in Jerusalem they call the Wailing Wall. But he said, but he wrote words called the Proverbs, and every day, every minute of every day, somebody somewhere is saying his words. And he said, you can build a great edifice, and eventually it won't be there, but if you say words and print words that are memorable, you live on. And I thought, I'm going to write a book. That made a huge difference with me. So you're constantly writing the book of your life all the time. So if you're going to post stuff on social media, post the life that you want to live. When somebody says, well, you filtered that photograph, so if I made the colors a little bit, that's the way I want to see the world. I don't think of that as lying. I think of that as, this is the way this should look. I can make it look a little better. I don't get that when somebody says, unfiltered. Really? You're wearing makeup? I don't think I doubt many women rolled out of bed this morning, didn't do anything, and said, unfiltered. No, go filter. Same with guys. This morning it was, when it's warm and you got your flannel pajama bottoms, they're not pajama bottoms, whatever those pants are that you wear, those lounging pants. I was like, this morning I was drinking my coffee. I said, can I just go to Metron like this? And he said, why do we have pajama day? I said, like they do in elementary school. So I'd still have to work at it, though. I would have to go buy new pajamas. I'd still do my hair. I mean, I was sitting there thinking, I looked at myself in the phone and like, can I just go like this? Do I have to work on this hair? Yeah, like in the movies when women wake up and their hair, yeah. That's not reality. Anyway, so this is how you bring joy to your world. remember. I've noticed several of the Christmas songs will say things like, "I wish it could be this way every day of the year." Like a lot, that line of thinking is in a lot of Christmas songs, and it's a valid point. We should remember every day of the year that your words do become flesh, and you are creating your reality, and you are clean through the word that has been spoken to you by God, and that you can clean other things, you can cleanse other things. I said a lot about words in relationships. If you've said negative things, it doesn't mean it has to be destroyed. It does mean you've got to clean it up. You can't just say something and leave it and say, "I said it, there it is." No, you have to retract it, and you have to replace it. You can't just stop something negative. You have to replace it with something positive. Like if you ever tried to stop thinking a negative thought, you can't do it. You have to just start thinking a different thought that's positive. You can't unnegative something. And furthermore, pretending that you didn't say it is not the way to fix it. Or giving some bogus apology. "Well, I'm sorry you were offended at that." Well, that's not really an apology. What you're implying is that I'm just overreacting to something you said. So when you can finally say, "Oh my God, I realize that was a terrible thing I said to you," then we can talk. Until then, we got nothing to say because you're still in the... And usually, the way this happens in relationships, you say something hurtful because they said something hurtful. So you've got two people, it's like two guys having a knife fight, and they're stalking each other. Who's gonna cut first? And you cut and cut and cut, and then after a certain point, you're like, we've killed each other. So even if a relationship is ending, at least end it with something positive to say, let's don't just kill each other with our words. Let's leave something. Let's leave get some closure. I don't believe everybody is always going to go the distance with me in my life. I can allow for the fact there's some people in your life who are seasonal, but you don't have to end the season badly. And I'm not saying I've always done. I've ended seasons badly with people before. I know what that's like. And at a certain point, you've lived a lot of years, you've known a lot of people. You're like, I don't know if I can go fix all of that. There's some things I've just got to say, well, if it comes up. I've had some people who have apologized to me for things that happened years ago. I have no recollection of what they're talking about. Not so much now, but I used to have people call me in the middle of the night. I've just been, I can't sleep. I've been thinking about this thing I said to you. I'm like, who is this? And they're telling me something that somebody said to me 15 years ago. And for the life of me, I'm trying to remember. I can't even picture who this is. But apparently they're really suffering for it. So you have to let them say their thing. But you're like, this really could have waited till tomorrow. Of course, a lot of times that's when a little bit of drinking going on. I've had many people counsel with me in the middle of the night that I don't think they remembered what they said at 2 o'clock the next afternoon. Friends don't let friends call drunk. Or text drunk. Let's all stand. That's why, with everything I said today, that's why I opened up with saying once again how much I appreciate that you come every week, especially on days like today. So thank you. Nobody ever wants to feel like they're taken for granted, and you are not. Please remain standing. We'll show this for the YouTube audience, and then I'll speak a blessing over you.
Contributing to Metron is quick and easy.
Did you get anything out of this today?
Simply text the amount you would like to give to 404-620-5044. And now you can give anytime by texting this number. You will then receive a one-time registration form that links your phone number and opens your account at SimpleGive. Complete the form and you will then receive a successful registration and donation page. For additional information on your account, visit bishandthenow.com and click the support tab.
If you're making a check, make it to JESM. Danny will receive it.
When you contribute to Metron, you're also supporting the charity or organization of the month.
If you have cash, pay it forward.
Thank you for your investment in Metron.
Don't forget to get your tickets, because it'll be like Noah's Ark on December 18th. You'll be outside of the Rhodes Hall going, "Let me in," and we'll be like, "The door is closed." So we don't want to. We're universalists. We want everybody to be welcome in. So don't say, "Oh, I bet if I show up there on the 18th, they'll let us in." No, we won't. We'll be like, "Who are you again?" I speak joy to your world and speak a blessing over your words, that you create good things, that you're happy with every word that you speak becoming flesh or becoming manifested or becoming a reality. I bless your creativity, your creative powers. Speak peace and comfort over Fro's family. If this is a turning point week, that they will be able to get through it peacefully. And to Rhonda's family, I speak peace and comfort to them. To everyone who's here who's dealing with situations, I say that you speak creatively over it and you get best case scenario. Amen. I love you very much. Peace. See you next week.